You're watching ERi-TV English news broadcast. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us, and do stay tuned as we bring you the latest updates from around the globe and the country, live from our headquarters in Asmara. I'm Heaven Hans, your news anchor for this session. The following are the major headlines. United Nations Day celebrated in Asmara. Seminar on preservation of intangible cultural heritage. 5 killed and 22 injured in terror attack on Turkish aerospace company. Tropical storm Trami wreaks havoc in the Philippines, with at least 26 people dead. In our domestic news, United Nations Day, observed on 24 October, was commemorated at Asmara Palace Hotel. The ceremony was attended by ministers, senior government and PFDJ officials, members of the diplomatic community, members of UN offices in Eritrea, and other invited guests. In his address, Mr. Osman Saleh, Minister of Foreign Affairs, noted that this year's observance comes at a time when international cooperation faces unprecedented challenges, including geopolitical tensions, selective accountability, and unfulfilled commitments. He emphasized that multilateralism, centered around the United Nations, has yet to fulfill its founding promise to save humanity from war and promote social progress and better living standards in larger freedom. Despite decades of efforts, governments remain far from eradicating poverty, ending preventable deaths, and protecting the planet. Peace remains a privilege for a few, while deepening inequality tests the collective sense of justice and fairness. Mr. Osman highlighted that since independence, Eritrea has made significant strides in building a peaceful, harmonious, and prosperous nation, despite external hostility and limited resources. He pointed out that the country's development, however modest, is shared by all its citizens. He further stated that in recent years, the government of Eritrea has been scaling up efforts to stimulate economic growth and address the challenge hindering socio-economic development. The government is working on mechanizing agriculture through large-scale irrigation schemes, improving transport infrastructure to facilitate faster movement of goods and services while reducing business costs, investing in skill development to enhance the capabilities of the Eritrean people, harnessing natural resources such as oil, gas, minerals, land, and water to drive further growth, and accelerating industrialization with value addition. These priorities continue to shape Eritrea's diplomatic engagements at bilateral, regional, and international levels. Ms. Nahla Valji, U.S. resident coordinator in Eritrea, remarked that 24 October marks the day the United Nations Charter came into force 79 years ago, following the Second World War. She emphasized that the core of a strong partnership lies in the ability to combine the expertise and strengths of diverse stakeholders to achieve more together. The event also featured a video message from UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. Cultural performances by the Sibrit Cultural Troupe added a lively touch to the occasion. A seminar on the preservation of intangible cultural heritage and folklore was conducted in Tesane subzone, aimed at passing down these cultural assets to the younger generation. Mr. Idris Saleh, Director General of Culture and Sports in the region, emphasized that Eritrea and the Gashbarka region in particular is rich in intangible cultural heritage. He called for efforts to preserve and transfer this heritage to future generations, as it forms the foundation of the Eritrean people's culture and identity. Mr. Muhad Suleiman and Mr. Mohammed Said Osman, members of the Research and Documentation Branch at the Commission of Culture and Sports, explained that intangible heritage includes arts, languages, laws, history, beliefs, values, traditions, religious festivities, folklore, literature, music, dance, indoor and outdoor games, and cultural sites. They stressed the need for coordinated efforts to safeguard and preserve these elements. They further noted that the Eritrean people have achieved significant victories in political, economic, social, and other sectors by preserving their cultures and values throughout history. They urged the youth to take an active interest in cultural preservation. Mr. Suyum Ghebreyesus, administrator of the subzone, highlighted that a society that properly preserves its culture will achieve the desired development. He called for strengthened roles from the youth, parents, and government institutions in these efforts. The participants at the seminar called for the organization of training programs for young people and for cultural content to be featured more prominently in national media outlets. Dear viewers, we'll be back with the international news after the short break. Welcome back. Armed assailants launched a deadly terror attack on Turkey's state-run aerospace company near the capital Ankara on Wednesday, government officials said. At least 5 people were killed and 22 injured in the terrorist attack on the Turkish aerospace industry's headquarters in the outskirts of Ankara, said Interior Minister Ali Yerkileya. Among the dead are 2 attackers, a man and a woman, 4 employees of the aerospace industries, and a taxi driver who drove the assailants to the facility. A social media video showed the moment an explosion rocked the aerospace company headquarters. After the blast, a person holding a firearm is seen running in what appears to be a parking lot. No group has claimed responsibility for the attack, but it is suggested the Kurdistan Workers' Party could be behind it. The party is classified as a terrorist organization by Turkey, the European Union, and the United States. The attack occurred a day after the leader of Turkey's Nationalist Movement Party brought up Kurdish relations in parliament, where he suggested offering to release the party's jailed leader if he disbanded the organization. Later on Wednesday, several Kurdish areas in Syria and Iraq were struck by Turkey. On our last news. Tropical storm Trami has killed at least 26 people and forced more than 150,000 to flee their homes in the Philippines as it made landfall on the northeastern coast. This is according to officials. Trami, locally known as Severe Tropical Storm Kristen, dumped heavy to torrential rain on the main island of Luzon, triggering widespread flooding and landslides. According to the state weather agency, with maximum sustained winds of 95 kilometers per hour, the storm was moving westward across the mountainous northern region of Cordillera towards the South China Sea. The agency warned of heavy to intense rainfall, flooding and landslides for some northern provinces. Most of the deaths from the storm over the past few days were due to drowning and landslides in the central Bicol region, including Naga City, where 14 were reported dead on Thursday. The government has ordered businesses and schools in the path of the storm to close in anticipation of heavy rain and floods. According to civil aviation regulator, at least a dozen flights across the country had been cancelled on Thursday due to the storm. The Philippines typically records an average of 20 tropical storms annually, often resulting in heavy rains, strong winds, and deadly landslides. And now a quick recap of tonight's major headlines. United Nations Day celebrated in Asmara. Seminar on preservation of intangible cultural heritage. 5 killed and 22 injured in terror attack on Turkish aerospace company. And a tropical storm Trami wreaks havoc in the Philippines with at least 26 people dead. With this, we conclude our news for this session. Dear viewers, thank you for joining. It's a goodbye from us.